Okay, welcome everybody. I'm Assemblyman James Gallagher. I'm the Republican leader in the State Assembly. We're here today to talk about suspending the gas tax. We have legislation that we've introduced, AB 1638. This bill has been in print since January, but we still haven't been referred to a committee yet. And as you see behind me, we're at a gas station. The gas tax the gas price is at $5.59. In many places, it's over $6 now a gallon in California. It's time to give Californians some much-needed relief from these high costs. And we can do that. And that's why we want to fast-track this legislation today to the floor for a vote. This would provide instantly a 50-cent per gallon relief to California consumers. Now, some have brought up, well, hey, that money goes towards roads. That's true. We have a $65 billion surplus here in California. So we can backfill that money. It's about $4 billion of that $65 billion surplus that we have that will ensure that all the road projects continue to be built. That's very much a priority for us as well. But let's give the consumers a break that we can do right now. Let's not wait till budget time in June to maybe give people a tax rebate. Well, let's talk about that too, because we have too much of their money. But right now, we can provide instant relief to California consumers. We're asking our Democratic colleagues to join us in doing this today. We'll be bringing this up on the floor, and we hope that we'll get their participation in helping every California consumer save a little bit more money in these high cost times. Thank you. So I'll turn it over to the bill's author, Assemblyman Kevin Kiley.
Thank you very much, Leader Gallagher. Thanks, everyone, for being here. To be clear, I don't usually wear a suit and tie when I fill up my car, so please excuse the incongruence. Gas prices in California have reached unbelievable levels, and the governor and legislature must do something about it now. That is why we are here today. Now, we are seeing soaring gas prices across the country because of national policy failures that have made America less energy independent. Nowhere have those failures been worse than in California, and as a result, nowhere are people paying more for gas than in California. $6 per gallon already for premium, and we're not that far off of that for regular. This is making life so much more difficult for hardworking Californians who already face the highest cost of living in the country, who already face the highest poverty rate in the country, who are already feeling the effects of inflation in all facets of their lives. Soaring gas prices make life especially hard for Californians who must commute long distances to work, who have family obligations that require frequent travel, like taking kids to work, or who live in rural areas. Now, this added burden, which is borne by Californians alone, is not the result of international political events. It is the result of our state's political choices. And one of those choices is to tax gasoline more than any other state. Today, we are offering the legislature a chance to make a different choice. We are offering the legislature the chance to be on the side of hardworking Californians by suspending the state gas tax in its entirety. This will save Californians 50 cents a gallon immediately. Now, that's not going to bring prices down to reasonable levels by any stretch of the imagination, but it will help. It will make a real difference for millions of people. I also want to say a word about the governor's so-called rebate idea. We have within our grasp a lever that will provide immediate, simple, meaningful relief for millions of Californians by suspending the state gas tax. There is no need for some complicated new rebate program that offers a vague promise of a check in the mail to some people at some future date in some amount after it wends its way through the same bureaucracy that has so spectacularly failed to deliver unemployment checks for the last 2 years. So today, we are going to be initiating a vote on the floor of the Assembly, where every member of the legislature will have an opportunity to vote in favor of my bill to suspend the state gas tax. The reason we're doing this on the floor today is that the majority has refused to even assign this bill to committee. So they've left us no choice but to initiate a floor vote on this bill, which has an urgency clause attached, so it will go into effect immediately. And to be very clear, every member of the our caucus here is going to be united, led by Assembly Republican leader James Gallagher. We are very hopeful that our Democrat colleagues will join us. But any member of the Assembly who votes no or who abstains from the vote on the motion is voting for $6 per gallon gasoline, is voting against giving California taxpayers a break that they very much need. So we're very hopeful that we will get the result that we need today, and I thank everyone very much for being here.
No, go ahead. We're going to go to the assembly drill first. Go ahead.
It doesn't have to be this way. While California is flush with the surplus, California families are struggling. You shouldn't have to make life decisions at the pump. And that's exactly what people are doing. They're at the pump watching the gas meter go up and they're thinking, well, I guess I'll just cut my energy. I'll pay half my energy bill this month, or I'll cut my grocery budget. Or even worse, we'll just stretch the baby's formula. California families need reprieve, and they need reprieve now. We can do this. With the surplus that we have, we can backfill projects in transportation, which is why we have this additional tax for infrastructure in California, and we can give families reprieve. It's something that I hope that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle will take seriously. Californians need you to put partisanship aside, and they need you to help them at the pump today. Thank you. Assemblywoman Suzette Valladares.
Gas prices in California are too damn high. Good morning, I'm Senator Brian Jones, and I represent a significant portion of San Diego County. And over this last weekend, I saw prices in San Diego range from $5.99 a gallon to $6.69 a gallon. That is record-setting prices in San Diego that we have never seen. And as been stated before, the state has the money in the surplus to backfill the gas tax and eliminate the entire 51-cent gas tax and the entire $1 fees that Californians are currently paying per gallon of gas. I put out on social media a couple weeks ago on my social media accounts, SEN Brian Jones, a quick video talking about using the $68 billion surplus to backfill this $1. And within several hours, it had 22,000 views. Californians know they're paying too much for gasoline in California, and they know that the California government in Sacramento, led by the governor and our Democratic colleagues, are the reason why they're paying too much for gasoline right now. There's two things we could do immediately to lower the price of gasoline. One, eliminate the 51 cents per gallon as the Assembly bill proposes, or the $1 total fees that we pay by using the budget surplus to backfill that. And the second thing we can do in California is begin immediately extracting and refining California oil to start preventing and stopping the exports coming into California from Ecuador, Saudi Arabia, and Russia. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Senator Scott Wilk, Senate Republican leader. And we need relief now. I have a district where I have over 200,000 super commuters. They're either coming from the Antelope Valley, Lancaster, Palmdale, driving to LA, which they call down below, or in the high desert in the Victor Valley, where they drive into the Inland Empires for their jobs. So this is really a holistic problem, because people have to live there because they can't afford to live in more urban areas, and then we're penalizing them for making the choices that they've made. Anybody who watched the State of the State address could see that he just slipped in the little quote about tax relief for gas. Obviously, they've not even thought about it. And if you look at his record, when it comes to that, he makes everything way more complicated than it ought to be, right? So when we were dealing with COVID, he had different colors. You know, it was magenta, it was turquoise. I couldn't keep up with it. All it had to be was red, yellow, green. Very simple. Couldn't do it. Vaccines. All he had to say, if you need a vaccine, come and get the vaccine. He didn't. He had some convoluted plan. And with that, the federal government started redirecting vaccines to other states because we weren't hitting our quota. So now he's got a rebate. He doesn't even know what it is. It's probably going to be some complicated formula that may elicit fraud, but more importantly, it's not going to get to the people who need it now. So this is a simple proposal. I encourage all of our colleagues to come on board and do this, and let's make this happen for California's motorists. Thank you. Well, you should, because you're the...
All right, well, thank you all for coming. Again, this is a very simple measure. Just talked to a gentleman as I got out here at the gas station today who said, 50 cents, please. That would help me so much. And you're seeing Californians across this state that are getting crushed by this gas price right now. We can do something about it. And we're just saying, you know what? This is something we should do right now, and let's do some more, right? But right now, this is something we can do immediately that will give people immediate relief. And, hey, Governor, yeah, sure, let's talk about giving the taxpayers back some more of their money in these high-cost times. All right, thank you. We'd be happy to answer any questions that people have.
What's your response to legislative leadership on the Democratic side to say that this gas tax is important for jobs, for roads, for so many what they say are necessities for California that could be taken away by suspending?
I say I agree with you. It is important for those jobs, and we want to keep those jobs going. That's why we have a $65 billion surplus that we can backfill that money and ensure that those road projects and infrastructure projects continue to move forward. It's not an either-or choice. I mean, that's just a ridiculous assertion. We're saying we can give people relief on the gas tax and ensure that those projects continue to move forward and those people are working out there building up our roads and our infrastructure in this state.
Let me just add one thing to that. Actually, in California, we pay the highest gas taxes while driving over the deepest potholes. And so there's been plenty of money out there. It hasn't actually been going towards the sort of road improvements that we need. Our caucuses have had road funding plans that would actually put more money towards roads, would have resulted in greater improvements to our infrastructure than anything that exists in law right now. It has been rejected. Instead, we've only continued to increase gas taxes while getting less and less in return.
Any other questions?
Producing more oil here, we were told that there are 632 approved permits over the last year, but only about half of those 300 are currently active. So what is your response to the oil producers that are not acting on the other half of the approved permits?
Well, look, I mean, we think that we should be energy independent in California, and why not create our own energy here in California and be less dependent on places like Russia and Venezuela that have a way worse environmental record and not to mention way worse human rights record. But we continue to do that. That's the policy of Gavin Newsom and the Democrats right now, not to allow, domestic production of energy that we can do cleanly, that we do according to our rules to ensure it's safe. But instead, we're just turning a blind eye. And I guess expecting the consumers to go buy a Tesla to get through these tough times. That's not an approach. That's not an approach that works for everyday Californians.
But to clarify, the state did approve these permits, the Newsom administration approved it, but the oil producers themselves have not acted on them. So should they act on those permits? Would that help alleviate some of the
Sure, and there's a couple of points to that. One, WISPA, Western States Petroleum Association, is reporting that right now, on the governor's desk in his department, CalGEM, that there's 1,000 permits that are environmentally ready to go that they haven't signed off on. And of the ones they have signed off on, once they're approved, it does take some time to get them going. WISPA might have some better information on that. The bottom line for California extraction and production on oil refining, California does it better than anywhere else in the world. Not just in the country, but in the world. We have the cleanest extraction, we have the cleanest refining, we have the cleanest transportation. And currently we're bringing in millions of barrels of oil a day into our ports from countries that don't have the same environmental protections or worker safety protections that California does. So one of the solutions, as it has been mentioned, is to start extracting and refining California oil. The producers want to do it, and they need some more cooperation from the governor and his administration to get more of those permits approved and more of them operating.
And I'll just add that we probably need a little bit of a fact-finding mission here, because it's my understanding that not a single new permit has been approved by CalGEM in the past year, and that's a big concern. We can be adding 100,000 barrels a day of native production. And I'll just say that our native production is cleaner, and it aligns with our values here in California, and it's something we should be really considering doing.
Other questions?
What are you expecting to happen on the floor?
Well, we know what we're going to do. We're going to bring the bill forward. We're going to make a motion that allows us to be fast-tracked. And by the way, today the legislature is fast-tracking something. They're fast-tracking a fix for the UC Berkeley housing problem that's going to deprive 3,000 kids of being able to be admitted to one of our premier universities in the state. We're fast-tracking that bill, as we should, because that's an urgent issue. But this is an urgent issue also, to make sure that every Californian gets 50 cents a gallon off of their gas right now. It would be a huge help to so many who are dealing with these really devastating costs of inflation right now. So we are just asking them to treat this with the same urgency that we're treating other issues as well.
The strategy of having these types of press conferences and then bringing up the floor vote essentially worked for the current resolution and the state of emergency, which is going to have a debate after a similar strategy that you guys took in that respect. Are you hoping that if this fails on the floor today, that maybe there's a different debate down the line?
Well, whatever form it takes, we want this to pass on the floor today. Californians need relief now, but I think that the example you just gave shows that we are winning the public argument. You see people in California are demanding change when it comes to the state of emergency, when it comes to crime, and when it comes to soaring gas prices. So we hope that we are able to deliver immediate results, but I also think that if the legislature refuses to act, if it shows that it's so out of touch that it's not willing to do something about gas prices, then California voters are going to take notice of that.
All right, if no further questions, then thank you all for being here today, and we'd be happy to take some interviews afterwards if you'd like. Thank you.